Pushkin. Hello.
Hi.
My wife.
Hi. My husband.
How are you?
I'm getting through.
Yeah, so you wanted to talk?
I did. I feel like we haven't had much of a chance to connect over the last couple of weeks because there's been a lot going on here.
Here is Minneapolis, where I live, and the epicenter of what the Trump administration is calling Operation Metro Surge. Since it all began with the regular business of work, childcare, and running a household, Emily and I haven't really had a chance to sit down and actually talk. I knew she had a lot she wanted to tell me, so I asked her to start at the beginning.
On Wednesday, January 7th, I had dropped Augie off at school, and I was driving down 36th, which is a one-way. There were, I don't know if it was 6 or 8 vehicles coming directly toward me, going the wrong way down a one-way at full speed. And I really thought I was going to have a head-on collision. Then they just suddenly stopped, and then a bunch of men started running out of the cars, and they were all masked, and all the vehicles were unmarked. My brain just wasn't connecting what was happening, and then I saw 2 women running toward this scene with whistles. And then somewhere in my head it clicked, like, oh, this is an ICE raid. I didn't even know exactly what that meant, but I just felt so clearly like something wrong is happening. And so I parked and I jumped out. I ran up to the building as they were all pulling away. The woman who had a really little, like 5-pound dog, one of the ICE agents just swerved right at the dog. And I was really emotional because I still had a lot of adrenaline. I was coming on the one way and they almost hit me. Yeah. One of the women there hugged me, and she just kept saying,
No, I know. I said, who do they think they are?
Who do they think they are?
Oh my gosh, it's just too much.
I mean, that's when everything just like exploded. I got home and, I had news on the background, and I saw that a woman had been shot dead. And that turned out later that this was Renee Good. And she had just dropped her kid off from school too. She was shot about 40 minutes after I had that encounter, about 4 blocks away.
Ice out now!
I went to the vigil that night.
Okay.
There were a lot of people there. I think everybody there really felt an obligation to be there. While I was there, I got a text from Katie, my sister, telling me that ICE had showed up at Theo's school. Theo is our 14-year-old nephew, and that they had pepper sprayed a crowd of teachers and students. So she texted me that and then wrote, I have no idea how to process this with my child.
When did I learn that ICE was a thing?
When did you learn that ICE was a thing? Do you remember?
No. Do you?
And Augie, Augie's 9. And so that's been one of the really hard things here, is to know, what do you tell your kid? I've been trying to talk to him about it just as honestly as possible, with trying to emphasize, that he's safe. But even if he is safe, there's a lot of kids right now around this city his age who aren't. And how do you explain that,
You told Augie about Renee Good?
Yes.
And what was that like?
I first told him that a woman had been shot by ICE, Then the next day, Julian came over, and Eli, Julian's dad, said something to me about, oh, and you encountered them that morning in front of Augie. And so then Augie was like, wait, what? We are right now. Yeah, I'm okay.
Remember, you wouldn't have stopped if I was in the car?
No. No, honey. And we talked about it for a couple of minutes, and then he said, okay, I think we need to stop talking about this now. And so I respected that. Stopped talking about it. So then the Thursday and Friday after Renee Good was killed, schools were canceled across the city because it just wasn't safe. I stayed home with Augie, and some of his friends came over. And, throughout the day, we would be the kids would be playing, and they'd be fine. And then they would say, it's so sad. Like, this is so sad that Ice murdered somebody.
This is what Augie's friends were saying.
Yeah. And I actually have a really clear memory that day. We were working with the hot glue gun, and Julian somehow cut his hand, and the concern that they all just sort of rallied around him and were so worried about his hand.
Julian.
Yeah.
He's like the Mr. Tough guy.
I know. And then there was this moment after I bandaged it up that we all, and I've never had a moment with the boys like this, where we all sort of like hugged each other.
The boys went for this? They allowed this?
Yeah. And I do think it was just like this moment of vulnerability that we were all feeling such a weight, that it just allowed us to have this moment of coming together. It was really beautiful.
Wow.
I mean, everything is completely overwhelming, but you still have to eat. You still have to walk the dog. And, kids are still kids. That next morning, I was laying in bed, and Augie came in wearing a captain's hat and a suit jacket and started rapping about yachts.
Yachts! I want one for my birthday. Yachts! I can get a cookie vacay. Yachts! They're really great. Yachts.
It was all about going on yachts and having cookie vacays.
God, I would love a cookie vacay right now.
We could all really use a cookie vacay.
I want a cookie vacay. Yachts! I want it for my birthday. Yachts! You don't need to take a bath. Yachts!
Tuesday. This is Tuesday the 13th, less than a week since Renee Good had been killed. Once again, I had dropped Augie off at school, and I was driving home, and suddenly all these vehicles start swarming around my car. And I'm a little bit boxed in, and then I started hearing the whistles. And so I decide to get out. There's ICE agents all over. They're going up to an apartment building, yelling, you got to open up the door. And, the crowd is slowly growing, but pretty quiet. And then they come out of the apartment building, and they have two guys who, to me, looked like children, early 20s at the oldest, but I'd be surprised if it was even that. One of them is wearing a T-shirt and shorts, even though it's very cold outside.
I mean, it's so cold. It's the kind of cold that, you take your gloves off for a few seconds and your fingers just really hurt. Like, it is hard to be outside in this weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we see the kids, we just start screaming, "Shame on you! Shame on you." I'm a mom. Shame on you is the words that come to mind. And we're yelling, they're kids. And sorry, this is going to be the hardest part for me. So everything I should just say first, everything escalated very quickly. It just becomes chaos, where ICE agents are just pushing people, shoving people, kicking them, they have them down on the ground. I can't even describe the feeling where, literally 3 feet from me, I see a man like just a Minneapolis guy on the ground and an agent just pepper spraying him straight in the face from 3 inches away. And I mean, every part of you just wants to run and just like tackle that guy, but you know you can't. And so you just yell. Because what else do you do? But just to stand there and see somebody brutalized like that, you just feel so powerless.
Are you okay?
So I'm standing on the corner and they're trying to get this car to go, this woman in the car, and there's nowhere she can go. I mean, it was just chaos. And they're screaming at her. There's like 15 agents, just surrounding her car, screaming at her.
They just broke the window. They broke the window in the car. They broke the window.
All of a sudden, they break her passenger side window. Then they go around to her side and forcibly pull her out of the car. And she's screaming. And then they've just got her by all fours and start carrying her away. And then I see that they have a white-haired man that they are carrying by all fours. And they open the back door of a black SUV and literally like stuff him in. That's the only language I know how to use. Sorry. So they stuff him into the vehicle and then...
All right, there's flash bombs all over the place.
And then the first...
I got it back up.
I just hear a bunch of like pop, 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 pop. And I figure out that these are, I guess, what are flashbangs. And then smoke just starts to pour out.
Smoke all over.
And then it hits your throat first. And it starts to burn. And you're starting to cough. And you're like, ooh, that's strong. And then it hits your face, the skin on your face. And then your eyes.
Burning my eyes.
Start to burn. And for a second, you're like, oh, this hurts, but it's okay. And then each second that passes, you're just like, oh, it's not okay. Oh, it's really not okay. And then you're just like, fucked. And then I just can't really move. I'm doubled over. And I grabbed a fistful of snow to put on my eyes, and I can't see in any way. And then I just feel like a hand reach out for me and grabs my hand, and they start to just guide me away out of the gas. And then there's a guy there wearing a bandana, and he says, "This is my house. This is my house." It's the most Minnesotan thing of all time. We walk in the house, none of us can even see really. And he says, "I'm sorry it's so messy in here." Oh.
Thank you. That's much better. Good.
I had a bottle of water and we're pouring it over my eyes.
Thank you very much for the hospitality.
There's that famous Mr. Rogers saying that when trouble strikes, look for the helpers. And that's what I've always used with Augie, look for the helpers. But, Renee Good was a helper and Alex Preddy was a helper. Like, they're murdering the helpers.
Coming up, after being shot in the leg by an ICE agent, Julio Cesar Sosa Celis became national news. Since then, his family has been forced into hiding. After the break, I pay them a visit. One week after Renee Good, and a week and 3 days before Alex Preddy, another person in Minneapolis was shot by ICE agents. He was at his home when it happened. He was shot in the leg. It wasn't fatal, and the incident didn't get as much media attention. The man's name was Julio Cesar Sosa Celis. He was Venezuelan, and he had no criminal record. There are different accounts of what happened that night, but in a nutshell, the federal government claims Julio had been targeted for arrest, that he fled during a car chase, and that when he was caught, he was shot by an ICE agent in self-defense. The FBI says otherwise. Their investigation determined that ICE wasn't looking for Julio at all, and that he was not a part of any chase. Julio's roommate was mistaken for someone else while driving, and he got into a car chase with ICE. The roommate led the agents back to the house he and Julio shared with their partners and their babies. Eyewitnesses say the shooting wasn't self-defense, that the men were fleeing into the house when shots were fired. At the end of the night, Julio and his partner Indriani were arrested. But the story I want to tell isn't about the shooting itself. I want to tell the story of the family Julio and Indriani left behind, what their life was like before that night, and what it's been like ever since. So far, Julio and Indriani's family in Minnesota haven't spoken with any journalists, but it turns out I have a connection to Indriani's mom, Yemilis. It was a very tenuous connection, through friends of friends, but it was enough for me to be trusted. And so, one cold night, a week after the shooting, I text Yemilis my photo so she could identify me through the front door's small window, and I go over to talk. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Baby.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Since Julio and Indriani have been incarcerated, Yemilis has been taking care of their 3-year-old son, her grandson. Yemilis has been in the U.S. since 2023, but with the shooting, she fears that she and her family have become targets, even more so targets, of ICE. So she doesn't leave the house, not to grocery shop, not to go to work. She keeps the blinds drawn, the lights outside off. She says she prays that God will just make her house invisible.
Yes, Yemilis.
Jonathan. Jonathan.
Yes.
I'm with my interpreter, Eric, who's not really an interpreter, but my former office mate, who works as an immigration lawyer.
This is Eric. Nice to meet you.
Hola, Eric, ¿cómo está?
The house is full of life. 4 kids of her own, ages 9 through 14, and her 3-year-old grandson, Julio and Indriani's son. Once inside, one of the kids locks the door behind us.
Estamos más seguros.
Since the shooting, even though her children have open asylum cases and social security numbers, Yemilis has kept them all home from school. Her 14-year-old, Alejandra, attends class over video. I ask her if her teachers know why she hasn't been in class.
Yeah, but I didn't tell all my teachers, so my grades are going down.
Oh.
So I'm scared about that too.
I'm sorry.
I really want to go to school again, but my mom's like, you need to stay here because the ICE can take you and things like that, you know? But I really want to go to school again.
Yemilis' 10-year-old son, Javier, walks over.
I have a question.
He has a question he wants to ask me. Yes.
Did you know when the ICE thing's gonna done?
Oh, I wish I knew. I'm so sorry. As her partner Danielle makes himself dinner and the kids come and go from the living room, Yemilis tells me about her life before all of this, why she left Venezuela for the United States in the first place.
Vivíamos escondidos.
We were living hidden.
Mi miedo de volver es muy fuerte.
My fear of returning is really strong.
When I ask why that is, Yemilis just says political persecution and leaves it at that. Her daughter Indriani had already migrated to the U.S. and made a home for herself and her son in Minnesota. Yemilis really missed them. To see them again, she and her family embarked on a difficult journey, mostly done on foot. She and her partner Danielle towed 4 little kids across South and Central America and through Mexico.
No teníamos teléfono.
We didn't have phone.
No traíamos dinero.
We didn't have money.
Monedas en mi cartera. Monedas.
I had some coins in. That's it.
Caminamos por 2 meses.
We walked for 2 months.
Durmiendo en la calle.
Sleeping in the street.
Con comiendo lo que nos podían regalar.
Eating what people would give us.
Caminamos mucho,
We walked a lot,
pero siempre felices,
but always happy,
con mucha fe
with a lot of faith
en volver a ver a mi hija y a mi nieto que ya estaban aquí.
in being able to once again see my daughter and my grandson.
On the way from Colombia to Panama, they passed through the incredibly dangerous rainforest known as the Darien Gap.
Donde han muerto muchísimas personas también.
Where a lot of people have died.
The Darien Gap is a roughly 60-mile stretch of rainforest. It's the only gap in the Pan American Highway. No road, not even a dirt trail. The area is filled with strong rivers, flash floods, and wild animals. There is no police. Many migrants are murdered and raped during passage. But of all the places they traveled through, Yemelis says the parts of Mexico controlled by the cartels were the scariest. She describes how while trying to avoid the immigration authorities, her family escaped into the forest.
Ya eran 3 personas más. Salieron del monte con pistolas.
So 3 armed men came kind of out of the trees, and
Ellos preguntaron en ese momento, ¿no le va a pasar nada?
they said, nothing's going to happen.
Entreguen el dinero,
Give us your money.
entreguen los teléfonos.
Give us your phones.
Yo le dije, ni dinero ni teléfono tengo.
I said, I don't have money or phone.
Yemilis gestures towards her 12-year-old daughter who's sitting on the couch.
Ella lloró porque veía las pistolas.
She cried because she saw the guns.
Me dijeron que se calle o la mato.
And they said, she better be quiet or we'll kill her.
Mi hijo varón,
My son,
curioso con las pistolas.
he was curious about the guns.
Si me vuelve a mirar, lo mato.
And they said, if he looks at me again, I'm going to kill him.
Nos desnudaron
They took all our clothes off,
para saber si teníamos dinero escondido.
looking to see if we had hidden money.
When they didn't find anything, they let them go. Yemilis and Danielle had heard about a train that carried migrants from Mexico City to the American border. The train was referred to as La Bestia, the Beast. It's also been called the Train of Death. Passengers ride on top of freight cars. Loss of limbs, maimings, even death occur as people try to board the moving train. The family was told by other migrant travelers where to wait for the train. They waited and waited.
Viene el tren grandísimo
Then comes this big train.
y todo, ahí viene el
And
tren.
everyone starts cheering the train, the train.
Veo que muchas personas comienzan a correr y a correr y a correr, personas que andaban solas.
And I saw a lot of people start running and running and running. And
Pero yo sí dije a Dios en ese momento, Dios, si es de ti que nos montemos, que se pare.
I said to God in that moment, God, if it's your will for us to get on this train, let it stop.
Porque andando el tren, yo me puedo montar, más mis hijos no. Él se puede montar, más los niños
Because
no.
the train moving, I could get on and my husband could get on, but the kids no.
You have to jump on.
Claro.
Clearly.
Y no podía agarrar 2 niños más y él 2 niños más.
And I couldn't jump and grab onto the train with holding 2 of my children and him holding the other
Y
2.
si me soltaba, me podía matar el tren.
And if I fell, the train could kill me.
When the train came to a full stop, Yemilis took it as a sign.
Del tren,
The last
el
car of the
último
train,
vagón, hay unas escaleritas.
there was a ladder.
Subimos muy rápido
And we climbed up very quick.
y quise como amarrar los niños. Vamos a amarrarlos para que no se vayan a caer.
And we passed 5 days on the train.
On top of the train like that.
Yeah, on top
uno
of the train.
cuando pasaba por pueblos, nos lanzaban comida o galletas.
When we went through towns or villages, people would throw us food or cookies.
Porque fueron momentos en que uno, si se bajaba, se podía ir el tren y ¿dónde quedábamos?
Because we couldn't get down, because if we got down, the train could leave and we'd be stuck.
Ese tren nos movió más de medio México.
That train moved us through half of Mexico.
And the kids, how were they?
Sí, los amarré.
Yeah, we tied them on. We tied the children down.
Yo voy a seguir adelante.
One just has to say, I'm going, I'm moving forward.
Through the cold at night and the heat during the day, Yemilis and her partners stayed awake, holding on to the children. Falling asleep meant running the risk of being shoved from the train, or simply falling, which could mean instant death. So for 5 days she hung on. No bathroom, just a pot. No proper food, just what they could catch. And no sleep. In this way, Yemilis spent her birthday. She was turning 34 years old. The train finally stopped in Juarez.
There had been people had been killed. Children had been taken.
Habían robado sus cositas.
People had had their stuff stolen.
Y yo le doy gracias a Dios que fuimos unas personas muy bendecidas.
And I thank God that we were people that were very blessed.
A man who saw the family get off the train offered to buy them food. Other people gave them drinks. Another man even gave them money. They all ate, and finally, walking distance from the U.S. border, they slept. In the morning, U.S. immigration admitted Yemilis and the children into the U.S. They spent the night in a Border Patrol tent and were given paperwork to start the asylum process. Eventually, they were placed on a bus to Chicago. Yemilis' daughter, Indriani, came to greet her. It was Yemilis' first time seeing her daughter in a year and a half.
And we just ran to each other and hugged, and I grabbed my grandson.
Estaba pequeño, muy pequeño.
He was so little.
Together, they traveled back to Indriani's new home in Minnesota, where the kids enrolled in school, and eventually, Yemilis found work cleaning houses and offices. Over the years, they settled in and made a life for themselves. After the break, Yemilis tells me about her second separation from her daughter and grandson, the night of Julio's shooting. Yemilis was at work when she got her daughter's frantic video call. Indriani was telling her that ICE was at the door.
Es donde está escondida con su bebé en brazos, llorando.
She was hidden with her baby in her arms, crying.
Y diciéndome, mamá, van a entrar, nos van a matar.
And she was saying to me, Mama, if they come in, they're going to kill us.
Tear gas had been thrown through the window, and so Yemilis' daughter and grandson got on the ground. They were phoning from under the bed.
Mostrar el video.
I can show you the video.
Puede escuchar todo.
You can hear everything.
Yemilis pulls out her phone. She had recorded the call, and she shows me the video.
They're gonna kill us, Mom. I'm hearing shots.
I asked where Julio and his roommate were while she was on the phone with her daughter. Turns out they were also on the phone.
They were there, and they were talking to their mothers.
Porque en ese momento ellos pensaban que los iban a matar.
Because in that moment, they thought that they were going to kill them.
Y querían como despedirse de cada madre.
And they wanted to say goodbye to each of their mothers.
Yemilis says that her daughter, rightfully, didn't open the door, but ICE broke the door down. While she's telling this story, a toddler runs in. He's bright-eyed and wearing a little football jersey. Is this your grandson?
Sí.
Hi.
Dilo.
Hello.
Saying the police took his mom.
Él está diciendo que las bombas entraron por la ventana y le dispararon al papá Julio.
He's talking about how the bomb came through the window and they shot his dad Julio.
Bombas grandes.
Grandes.
Huele.
He's talking about it smelled bad. The gas.
Huele feo.
It smelled ugly. It smelled bad.
Sí.
Did it hurt your eyes?
No me gusta.
No le
I didn't
gusta
like. I didn't
lo que
like.
pasó.
Todo.
Duro.
Sí, decía.
¿Cómo le hacían a la puerta?
Tum, tum, tum.
They hit the door. They hit the door. Dun, 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 hard.
Yemilis says her grandson keeps talking about that night. He still has nightmares.
Y yo escucho, él duerme conmigo.
He sleeps with me, and I
Y yo
hear
escucho cuando él se despierta de noche.
when he wakes up at night,
Llora,
crying,
mamá.
crying,
Está más
pressing.
pequeño.
Mom, he's smaller.
To flee political persecution from one country, the family underwent a death-defying journey to another country, only to be persecuted by that new country's government. Could you ever have imagined that it would get this bad, that it would get like this?
No. Estados Unidos me parece
The
un
United
país
States appeared to me
bonito
a beautiful country.
en sus 4 estaciones,
In its 4 seasons,
en el frío, en el calor.
the cold, the heat.
Me gusta más el calor.
I like the heat more.
That first winter, Yamilis wore gloves and hats indoors. Wherever she went, she carried around a space heater that had been gifted to her. But seeing how much the kids enjoyed the snow, the winter has grown on her.
Yo me siento bien aquí
I feel good here.
y vinimos a trabajar.
We came to work.
Vinimos por un bienestar para nuestros hijos.
We came for the good of our children.
Por cierto, están invitados a un verano, el próximo verano, venir a comer a mi casa.
Truly, you guys, next summer are invited to eat at my house.
Y estoy aquí.
If I'm here.
Si todo está normal,
If everything's
vamos
normal,
a comer muy rico.
well, we're going to eat really well.
On Tuesday, Julio appeared in court. To counter the federal government's narrative, lawyers presented photographs showing a bullet hole through the front door of Julio's house and a bullet hole in one of the bedrooms, between a mattress and a crib. The judge ordered Julio's release, but when Julio left the courthouse, ICE agents were waiting for him outside. He's now back in detention. Indriani was released last week. On the morning she returned, her son was still sleeping. When she woke him, he didn't recognize her at first, but then he hugged her. Now, he doesn't want to leave her side. He's afraid ICE will take her again. Yamilis still hasn't left the house, and her kids have yet to return to school. This episode was produced by Emily Condon and me, Jonathan Goldstein, as well as supervising producer Stevie Lane and senior producer Cleela Holt. Fact-checking by Andrea Lopez Cruzado. My interpreter at Yamilis' house was Eric Day. Editorial help from Nadia Raymond. Special thanks to Melissa Redfield, Ben Nadif-Hafri, and Daphne Chen. Sarah Bruguer mixed the episode with music by Emma Munger. We'll be back in your feed in a few weeks.